Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me with Childhood Rewind. And as we discussed last week, this week we started the miniseries Scarlet from 1994. It is the sequel to Gone with the Wind. And we viewed part one last night. I believe there's 4 parts. Uh, so this recap will go relatively quickly. And regarding that, we do have a recap for you for those that weren't able to make it to the viewing party yesterday. And because it's a mini series, so they're 4 pretty long parts, you may want to, join us for the viewing party, and it's a bunch of fun. But here we go.
You once carried me across this threshold.
You can rest assured that won't happen again.
Who is it? What do you want?
It's just me, Miss Scarlet. I brought you a pot of coffee.
I don't want it. Go away.
Miss Scarlet, maybe you
Go
would.
away. I said get out before I take a strap to you.
Now, why'd you take a strap to me now that slave days is over, Miss Scarlet? When you never done when slave days still was.
Well, there were plenty of times I wanted to.
Yes, I could see that.
Go away.
You're doing yourself real hurt, Miss Scarlet. And it's breaking my heart to see you breaking yours.
The only hurt there's going to be around here is me hurting you if you don't remove yourself from my sight this instant.
Wouldn't be you hurting me. Wasn't that bottle there? And you'd wake up a weeping in the morning for the doing of it.
Then you best spare yourself the hurt and me the weeping.
Well, it's just something I had to say is all.
Now, tell me what?
Let's tell her now.
Tell me what?
As soon as we got your letter telling us you were coming to Charleston, why, we naturally mentioned it to Eleanor Butler.
You told Rex's mother?
Well, we naturally presumed she was already cognizant of the fact, you being her daughter-in-law and all. But she was just as surprised as we were. And we said, well, you would be staying with us at our house, of course. And she said, why, she'll be doing no such thing. She said, you bring that dear child directly to my doorstep upon her arrival in Charleston, you Lady Romanade, or you will never hear the end of it. You will never hear the end of it.
Is Red there?
Red's up north in Philadelphia. By that, some family silver, the Yankee stole.
Are you saying I'll be against Mrs. Butler? Is that what you're saying? She's invited me to stay with her?
Well, what could be more natural and fitting, child? It's your husband's home, too. Your husband's home, too. Oh, my dear Scott. Oh, I'm so glad you've come home. I've been longing for you to come. And we can begin this very day. My committee is meeting here this afternoon. Oh, you must join us. Well, if only for tea. I certainly wouldn't want to prevail on you to participate, of course.
And what?
Well, we raise money with cake sales and bazaars of handcrafts and such for the Confederate Home for Widows and Orphans.
Oh, well, I'd be quite pleased to participate in something like that. Jehoshaphat.
Oh, we're here.
Who in the heck is that?
Sally Bruton. She can be mad as a March hare at times.
Margaret, Emma, we have arrived.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Well,
Oh, my.
it's another perfectly thrilling ride, Sally. One so looks forward to it.
Oh, speak for yourself.
You. Eleanor! Who's that with you? The new recruit for our disgustingly noble cause?
I had always heard that you would turn the heads on tin soldiers. I'm pleased to see that nobody was exaggerating. Smoke?
No, thank you. I don't indulge.
Your husband and I go back to when he was in knee pants. And I was wondering what those two funny bumps was coming up on my chest.
Really?
Eleanor, where's that rascal of a son of yours been keeping himself?
Well, he's in Philadelphia, as a matter of fact.
Philadelphia? What the flu perfect heck is he doing in Philadelphia?
Why don't you ask him yourself?
Brett!
I believe you rang for tea, Mrs. Butler.
Darling, is that what I think it is? Is that my tea service? Oh, Lord, it is my tea service. Oh, where did you find it?
Philadelphia, where said I might. The place is bursting with Yankee plunder. But I brought a little bit of it home. Its rightful place.
Oh, I think I'm going to cry. Oh.
I don't blame you. If I never had a son, I'd want him to be just like Red. Husband would have been even better.
Sally.
Oh, how you been keeping, you wolf in wolf's clothing?
Now, it seems to me I proposed to you on a number of occasions, Sally.
Yeah, I think you were about 12 years old at the time.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get my bid in early.
Hello, Brett.
It's a fortunate man who's offered a greater surprise than he offered.
Red, I don't believe you know our newest member, Miss Ann Hampton.
How do you do, Miss Hampton?
I'm charmed to finally meet you, Mr. Butler. I've heard so much about you.
Your tender ears must be sizzling.
Welcome home, Red, honey.
Welcome to Charleston, Scarlet. Honey.
Thank you, man. Seriously, my
What are
Butler.
you doing here?
Well, I sure didn't come all this way to lend my time and efforts to the Confederate Widows and Orphans Sewing Society. What do you think I'm doing here? I'm here to be with you.
Well, I don't want you here, Scarlet. I no longer love you.
Don't say that. I'm your wife. You're my husband.
An unfortunate circumstance I offer to correct.
Divorce. I will never divorce you. Never, never, never. Your mother's overjoyed that I'm here. What will you tell her if you throw me out? Because I'll tell her the truth and it'll break her heart, I believe.
Yeah, well, I don't have to throw you out, Scarlet. Sooner or later, you'll reveal yourself. You think you can pass yourself off as a lady, don't you? Charleston gentry will see right through you.
I am a lady, damn you.
You couldn't fool a blind, deaf mule. Now, show me your clothes.
What?
Soon you've armed yourself with a new wardrobe to win back my favors, all of it in your typically awful taste. Now, show me your new frocks. I'll see what can be salvaged, if anything. Seen her this evening.
I'll thank you to remember my mother was a Robillard from Savannah, and the O'Haras are descended from the kings of Ireland.
Every Irishman I've ever met or heard of seems to have been descended from a king. Is it just the one king, Scarlet? Or were there several?
Well, there was a note from Rhett this morning. He left last night. He's gone upriver to Dunmore Landing. Didn't he tell you?
Well, aren't I the perfect dunce? Certainly, he told me. Completely left my mind. What a silly willy I am. Certainly. You'll play. You don't want those onions. They're no good.
Good. What's wrong with them? They're not rotten or sprouting.
But they've been dug up too soon. They look fine, but they won't have any flavor. You can take my word for it.
How do you know that?
When I had to run our place after the war, Tara, I planted onions. I didn't know beans about growing things, no pun intended. So I dug up a batch of them as soon as the tops started brown. I figured they were drying and had rot. They didn't have any bite to them at all. These are what you want. These are good onions.
What can you tell me about celery? I have an uncommon, if not downright unnatural adoration for celery.
Celery was too fancy for us. I had a dozen mouths to feed. Ask me about yams, though, or white potatoes, or turnips, or cotton.
You worked the fields.
We had to eat.
In anything that would pass for an education. She's got the taste of a Hottentot. But she's got vigor, strength, and brains. She's a survivor. We need her kind of a South, even in Charleston.
Yes, now. Yes. Why should I write to him? He's a crabby, mean old man who hasn't lifted a finger for me my whole life.
Now, Scarlet, we were sort of hoping you might come along with us to Savannah next month.
For the celebration? What celebration party?
Father's birthday.
Well, I guess you'll just have to do that celebrating without me.
Now,
Scarlet, regardless of your personal feelings, my father, you might consider the question of respect for one's elders.
And family loyalty.
Duty.
Plain good manners.
Don't you dare preach over me. I don't care a fig for Grandfather Robillard. He was horror to my mother, and he was horror to me. You know I'm right. He treats everybody like dirt, including you, his own daughters. Father's sometimes less than gracious.
Father has his shortcomings that cannot be gainsaid, but he is our father nonetheless.
Nonetheless. And nonetheless, I won't be in Savannah watching him blow out his candles.
What I said she'd say.
It's what you say.
And that's tonight's recap.
Okay, so despite the ham acting, some of the most being inaccurate shenanigans of history, but it is what it is. It's Hollywood. You can't expect them to get everything right or anything. I mean, let's be honest. It took them a while before they even got the Prince of Egypt right.
True.
Because we were all thinking Charleston Heston. Oh my God, it's Moses.
But some things do ring true. The fact that they still had black servants post antebellum, the Messiah that was excused and still is excused to this day, specifically by white women. And the whole competition jealousy thing amongst white women, because okay, you knew Brett as a child, you're still fawning over him, and he's a married man, and you're trying to take digs at his wife, but you need his wife.
I would have said that's more the one who turned her in at the end of that episode. But that's just me.
What I'm referring to. Yeah, she definitely did.
Because that woman who saw her at the hotel, I'm just like, girl, what was you doing there?
Yeah. And for nobody to bat an eye and nobody to question it, she would have had to have been a spinster, an unmarried woman.
Because I'm just like she said in the last part of that episode, when she was talking to his mom, she was just like, girl, I would need more time to take off my shoes. Never mind the corset I got on, the bustle, the petticoats. I mean, come on now. How 10 minutes? 10 minutes? You can get undressed in 10 minutes now, not then.
Well, depending on what she's wearing. And even still, she was just saying how long it would take to get undressed. Think about getting undressed, doing the do, getting yourself back to how you looked when you came in.
Because them hairstyles didn't last after a hot day. That frizz.
To come back downstairs, no.
I'm just like, ma'am, no. Stop acting like you like that was gonna be an easy feat. I'm like, and you see her get dressed.
Yeah, and even to this day, there's still that women are pressured into, oh, if you dress like this, if you look like this, if you're caught in the company of him, you have to be a floozy, you have to be a whore. No, because the biggest whores are the ones that are following all the rules that y'all giving. They're just hiding it. They sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Susan, quiet as kept, in the neighborhood.
I'm just like, with this particular series, again, I had some issues with this, looking at it now, because when this came out, this was like, oof, this was like 90s.
94.
And I'm just like, back then, we were just consuming media at this point. We weren't really like delving deep like we're doing now. Like, we were just like, ooh, this is interesting. Let me watch. I mean, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for you.
Well, given that it was the sequel to Gone with the Wind, and it was given in mini series form, which a lot of people were wanting that continuation of the story of Brett and Scarlet. And at that time, it was like a resurgence of a woman's movement, so to speak. So, given that the overall caveat of this miniseries is Scarlet finally discovers herself, she journeys to find her history, her roots. So, it was kind of like the white people's version of Roots. And to watch a woman, one, given that it's set from antebellum to post antebellum time, not take her husband's last name and still have to do what women do now, take time, just like in this part where she looked at herself in the mirror and was like, who am I looking at? Who is this weakling I'm looking at? That still reigns true to today. So it wasn't so much the period piece, it's the little tinges of messaging in there. And for the first time, there was like a window into the modern woman, even though they set it so far back.
I mean, but like, look at what her uncle, who's her married family, not her family that she starts out with, her married family. I think his name is Hamilton. When he tells her, he was just like, you have a. I was just like, no, she has a smart, good head for business because she knows how things work. She had to learn on the fly. She had no choice. A woman back then in those days, you either had to learn from watching, because again, nobody was going to tell you. So the fact that she knew how business worked and how to actually functionally get it together to where she did not have to survive on a man at that particular point, where it was, you ain't got a man to help you with your estate, to take care of you. For her to do that, it was considered, as her aunt Pitty Pat said, it's not done in polite society.
Yeah, because to have an estate for white women, to have an estate, you had to have a husband. If you had an estate and didn't have a husband, you were widowed, and your son would take over the estate for you. And even watching and getting knowledge by proxy, that was more black women, because they would not conduct business in front of white women. But black women were serving the rooms. It was black women. Scarlett had an unusual for the time experience, because going back to Gone with the Wind, when the Civil War happened, as she said in the clip, the recap, she had to tend the field. She had to learn how to plant. She had to learn how to crop. She had to learn how to cook. She had to learn how to manage the household. She had to learn how to budget, because, as she stated, she had 12 mouths to feed. They weren't going to feed themselves.
Nope.
She had to become the overseer. She had to become truly the mistress of the house. Where other white women, they didn't. They just had to sit around and go, I want this pretty dress. Oh, can you go get the baby for me? Yeah, he needs to play outside. You go ahead. I'm just going to have tea and crumpets with the ladies. Because I think it's funny that they had this organization for widows and orphans of the Confederacy, where they
The
sell.
Daughters of Confederacy, just saying, just throwing that out there.
It's two different organizations, because there is an organization that was like that, but they were separate from the Daughters of the Confederacy. But they're talking about them selling cakes and stuff. These women weren't baking cakes.
The servants were baking the cakes. And like,
Like,
I think that Sally noticed that, because she noticed, like, she's like, Rat, look, I'm a male, you, and we don't go together. We know too much about each other to actually be together. So this ain't gonna happen. But you and that girl, y'all so much on the same wave. Like, I don't know why you ain't sitting up underneath her or covering her, whatever you want to call it.
see, I didn't get that from Sally. Sally and Brett are not alike to me. They're not. She's still pining away and fawning for him, and she's trying to be the woman. She's trying to be the yin to his yang, and she's not. Where Scarlet is the yin to his yang, and that's why they're bumping heads because I hate to do this, but it's true. Think about the most recent season of Bridgerton because it's about the same time period. And these men are so used to, I am man, you just listen to me. I think for you, you go along with it. And when they get a woman who's just as intellectual, just as driven, just as career driven, just as family driven, and loyal, they their brain shut, their whole everything shuts down. And that's why Brett has to feel so combative with Scarlet to keep showing her he's the alpha and she's the omega. Where she's like, no, we're both alphas, baby. Scoot over on this couch. We're gonna sit side by side. Where Sally is like, I'll sit in the background for you, Brett. Remember, we know each other. I know how you like your bread buttered. And I don't have a problem getting in there and buttering it for you.
I
She
don't
has
think
no clue how the real world works.
I don't think Jean Smart is like that. Who plays Sally in there? I don't think Jean Smart is like. I don't think that's her character arc is for her. Now the other chick who saw in the hotel, yeah, definitely. That is a 100%.
Yeah, but if you look at Sally's character, Sally is doing a lot of sneaking around that I'm going to pretend to be your friend and I'm going to pretend that I friend zoned myself. I'm waiting for you to see that I'm the one for you. And I am going to put on airs and stay close to your mom and do everything that I believe you want. Because while you're going and buying back stuff from the Yankees, I'm going to help the Confederates down here and I'm going to recruit for the Confederates because I'd be a good partner for you. That's her.
I'm not gonna respectfully disagree, but hey, it is what it is.
I
I
mean,
don't
think
I don't get that from her.
about when Brett popped up on them in that meeting. While he's hugging his mama, what does she do? She Brett! Every chance she gets, she takes a shot at Scarlet. She's not the see, most people look at pick-me's as giving a weak demeanor because generally nowadays they do. And they'll openly say in front of the guy, I wouldn't do that. I'm not like other girls. She's doing it in her actions and trying to put on this strong, vivacious, uh, adventurous act, but she has no life experience to back it up. She's literally playing a role for Brett.
But she's been married 2 times though.
And
I'm just saying.
Look how many times Elizabeth Taylor was married. And her one true love, she married
let's
twice.
Let's not talk about her.
But I'm saying
let's leave her in the past.
Because her still bringing up, yeah, you did propose to me. You were 12, but I'm gonna criticize your wife for working in the fields, but I'm gonna come visit you while working in the fields.
She didn't criticize Scarlet for that.
Yes, she did.
What did she say?
She sat there and she said, you were working in the fields? And that's when Scarlett said, yes, I had 12 mouths to feed. And then she called her when Brett's mother came up. She said that she didn't have any brain, she didn't have any couth. Then went on to say that she was smart and said the only talents that she has is basically in the field, but we need her for the Confederacy. It was in the recap that I played.
I'm gonna go look at that again just so I can make sure I'm not going crazy. But like I said, I don't get that feeling from her. But again, that's just me. I'm just being honest.
Let me put it to you this way: if say you got married tomorrow, and you have a long time friend since you were kids, that all of a sudden, y'all keep in contact every so often. You might hang out once or twice a year. Now all of a sudden that you're married, they keep popping up. They wanna, hi D Mac, how you doing? Remember?
I'm giving her the benefit of a doubt. Can we talk about Esther Roll in the scene? Oh, Jesus. The ham. The ham. The absolute ham. I was like, really, Lord? Really? I felt bad for her taking this role. I really did. I was like, this was not for you.
Ideally, it was. She has a habit of roles like that. When you think about it,
True. I was sitting there, I was like, trying not to cringe and not laugh at the same time. I couldn't help it, but I tried.
but I mean, she was accurate for the time. That is how she would have been for the time.
Now, with her sister, see, as I have an older sister, I get where her younger sister was coming from. I do understand, but I'm like, girl, you are married, have two children, and got one on the way. I understand that you're mad, but that man is dead and gone. There's no rewriting the past. He gone. What you gonna do? Revive him and then say, hey, she lied to you. He gone, baby. He gone. He dead. And you sitting there holding a grudge against this girl for something that she did again years ago. Now, again, I understand that you're upset and you're mad about it. And if you guys haven't sat down and talked about it, fine. But there's no need to be every time she comes to see you thinking she has an ulterior motive. Now, does she have an ulterior motive? Probably not at this particular moment, because we can't really see all the angles at this time. But she just came there to get out of Atlanta like her uncle has suggested. So she said, fine, I'll go home. I'll rest, relax. I'll try my best to cool my heels and go about my business. And as soon as she walks through the door, I'm like, Suella, really?
But it's okay. I remember roughly around this time last year, there were a lot of very benevolent white women that were explaining the dynamics of the white family. They're raised to be in competition with each other. They're raised to, this is why you don't really hear white people talk about aunts and uncles and cousins and things like that. When they move out, they become their own new family unit and then create a family unit from there. So it's like, I have to show that I'm better than you. And if you wrong me once, that is good enough for me to say I don't want to be around you. I'm never going to address it. I'm never going to deal with it. I'm just going to keep you away for all these years. And then in my later years, I'm going to use that as the woe is me. I'm the victim. Because when they don't address things, it's their way of having victimhood. And it's like, that is their greatest trend of trying to be a victim in virtually every situation.
Because even her husband, he said
She
to
has
her,
a husband, like you said. She has a husband. She has land. She has a house. She has a whole family. Technically, for the time, she was winning over Scarlet. She couldn't even see that she was winning because she was still in, I gotta one up my sister. I gotta one up my sister. And the worse I make her feel, the more I'm one upping her. Like, girl, your husband's standing right next to you. Where's Scarlett's husband?
because I'm just like even with the opening salvo, when she comes after when Scarlett comes and she said, well, how is Suella? Genuinely asking, how is she doing? How's everything? She's like, she's fine. And he's just like, I've told her to let bygones be bygones. In other words, let the past be past. We moving forward. And she's like, She's like, okay, I'm gonna trust you on that. That we just gonna let the past be the past, and we just gonna keep going. She walks in or gets off the buggy, and she's just like, hi, so and she says hi to her, and she was just like, well, you pregnant again? And she's just like, and then her husband chimes in. He's like, we're still trying for a boy. And she said he's trying for. I was just like, really? Was that necessary to dig at your husband like that? He's trying to make sure that he don't kill himself out in that field. He only got one good leg.
And see, that scene is very reminiscent to a very, I find it a weird trend that I'm seeing on TikTok where women, mostly white women, are husband shaming or boyfriend shaming. And it's like, yeah, can you have downfalls in a relationship? Can relationships be uneven? But instead of sitting down talking to their partners, saying, hey, I would appreciate more help around the house, or I don't like when you do this, they're setting up cameras and like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm like, these women ain't never going to change. Century after century after century. And it's like, sweetheart. And I've tried to explain this to people over the years. This does not make you look better. It makes your whole unit look shitty.
And then they sit down to dinner. I'm like, okay, so far so good. So far so good. We doing good. We doing good. And then she starts digging, and I'm just like, girl. And she's just like, and Scarlett is trying to rise above and not engage, as that's her nature. She loves to engage. Don't come at her sideways, because you're gonna catch that left hook that you wasn't supposed to catch. And she was just like, look, if it came down to it, sweetie, I did you a favor. If you knew how horrible a husband he was, you would be thanking me. End of argument. End of argument. End. She ended that argument with that. I was like, ooh. I was like, see, Swelling, see you. If you didn't open the box, you wouldn't have known that. But see, now you decided to open the box, and she had to tell you about yourself and about your bow that you wanted to get. Honey bunny, I did you a favor.
And see, my biggest thing with Sue Ellen is you currently have a husband, a really, really good husband, because back in the day, all he had to do was cross counties, and that would have been an automatic divorce, because that's how divorce went back then. You move from county to county without your spouse, stay there for a period of time, that's a divorce. And you do have to sever contact. I don't know anybody, male, female, or non-binary, that would sit there and allow their spouse to keep pining over someone. Like, I don't care if they are alive or dead. You chose to marry me. We are here now together. If you don't stop, and every time your sister comes, your brother comes, your cousin comes, I got to hear about this, you get out of my house. And that's why I say that is a good husband. He has the patience of Job, because ain't no
saint. Because I'm just like, and when we get to it, I'm gonna not spoil anything. When we get to it, it takes her. I'm just like, sweetie, he could have left you a long time ago because of your shenanigans, but he didn't. He stays and works your land for you so that you can be somewhat comfortable. But you want to sit there and drag him into the mud. Into the mud whenever your sister's around. Then to throw shots even further, you're going to say, well, if you were looking to try and take Tara from us, you're going to have to deal with the Catholic Church. And she was just like, what are you talking about? I came here to relax, to not be bothered by the society that I had to deal with when I was in Atlanta. I came home to just relax. And here you go. You want to, and then she was just like, yeah, you want to throw us out on the street? She was just like, if I wanted to throw you out, I know she wanted to say, if I wanted to throw you out on the street, I would have been did that. Been did that.
Well, she needs to
It wouldn't
quit.
even been a question.
Plus, the jealousy level is astronomical because I'm like, you just tell Scarlett that you feel that she's living the life you feel you deserve, but you keep window shopping this life and you don't realize what she goes through to have
I'm,
this life that you feel is so cushy.
I'm like, do you realize that this woman has lost her child? Her husband has now left her. She is trying her best to not break down from her child dying young and her marriage falling apart.
And her being looked down at the high society in Atlanta because she, for a period of time, had to work her own field. So I guess they wanted her to sit there and starve to death because that they we know that how the gossip would have went then too.
Because I'm just like, what is it that you don't have, Swelling? What is it? Please tell me. Because at this particular moment, Swelling, you ain't looking good right now. You ain't looking good. You got a husband who loves you. Loves you. Even though you still sitting there pining over somebody who ain't even alive. Still holding a grudge against a sister who does not even think of you in her universe. Let's be real. Let's be honest. You're not even a blip in her universe right now. Her universe right now concerns of Rhett, her lost child, and how to get Rhett back. That's it. That's her whole universe.
And now she's
Oh
added to the list of trying to reclaim herself.
wait, I forgot. She did make a promise to Melanie to make sure that Ashley don't kill her baby, her one baby that she had.
But she's also trying to, by the end of part one, making the decision to reclaim herself because she's realized she's gotten lost. And trauma does do that to you.
And I'm just like, ma'am, she is not sitting here plotting your downfall. Stop it. She's not here plotting your downfall.
At all.
But you want to sit here and discuss with her what she's doing, and she's not doing anything. Except, like I said, her uncle told her, yeah, you might want to get out of Dodge for a few days. Just a few. Just a few. No, no set timetable, but just a few days. Just go relax. Go relax. Because right now, Atlanta gossip columns are going all over the place. And you, ma'am, are the star of that show. So we need you to remove yourself from this place.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing about that was she's like, I don't have to go anywhere because I'm not scared. Then why you go to terror? Why you run? It's just like, girl, that's not that's stop it. And I'll say this. For the girl who decided she wanted to be messy and go run and tell her mother-in-law, sorry, not her mother. I'm just like, you wanted him that bad that you felt the need to sit there and say something that wasn't honestly true just so you can land the man.
Well,
What does that make you?
and it goes a little bit deeper. Hate to keep doing this, but the references are there, the comparisons are there. Um, Gossip is also a way of getting into inner circles. It's a whole clique thing. This dog is about to be homeless. Um, so it's a you should be closer to me. I have all the inside scoop on such and such and such and such and blah blah blah. But final thoughts on the night, because we do have one amazing trailer that we're going to close out with.
Well, be prepared for part 2 because it's gonna be spicy.
Why is it spicy?
We can't discuss
Yes,
why it's spicy.
and make sure that you join us, as it says here, every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the viewing party. Because, like I said, the clips only show so much, and so you can follow along a lot better. And if you didn't watch the original, you can ask questions in real time while we're there, and we're hilarious. Uh, but as always, I will see you all on Tuesday. Each one reach one, each one teach one.
No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Hey, little darling, don't shed no tear. No